to the Inner Skin Knitting Podcast. My name is Marie-Ève and I'm coming to you from the northeastern part of Italy. Today I thought I would film a special episode just on socks. So it's October, so it's Socktober this month. And I've been wanting to film a video like this for quite a while now, just to walk you through almost all of the socks that I own. I own more than this, but I picked up a few with different types of fibers, and to show you how they are wearing. Some of them I've had for only a few months, so there's not much to report there. Some of them I've had for as long as I've been knitting socks. I think the oldest pair that I have here is probably the second ever pair of socks that I've ever made. And the first one I made with a yarn that was not supposed to be used for making socks, so there were holes in it, I think, after the first wear, which is why I don't have them anymore with me. And so I guess if you're a beginner sock knitter, this can be informative for you to decide which kind of fibers you want to work with. And yeah, so I guess I'll get into it. I have today some Merino, some BFL, Alpaca, and I have some 100% wool socks, but most of them I think have nylon in them. But getting into 100% wool socks is something that I started to dabble into a few years ago already, maybe 2 years ago, and it's something that I'm very interested in, and so I have a few of those too to show you how those have worn over the years. So let's get started with, I guess, the most popular fiber that you'll find for sock yarns, which is Merino. So usually you'll find superwash, Merino and nylon blends. Typically you'll get 15 to 20% nylon, or even 10% sometimes, and that's usually to give socks a bit more strength, because since they are worn in shoes, they get a lot of friction, and so that's to avoid having holes in them. But as you will see, it doesn't always prevent completely that from happening. So yeah, the first pair that I'll start with is a pair of vanilla socks, self-strapping yarn that I think I made these ones probably around 3 years ago, and I've worn them a lot. So I am in Italy right now, but I used to live in Canada, and when I did live in Canada with the winters, big winter boots were a must, and so these were worn in like big winter boots, and I used to do a lot of walking to get around. So I guess this is a testament that a merino and nylon blend lasts for a very long time. And I'll try to put pictures of what the socks looked like just after I finish them, so we can compare. And also maybe I'll put some like close-up footage of what they look like now, because my camera here doesn't like to focus in this lighting. I guess we can kind of see. So you can see that they look in pretty good shape. There are some, how do you call these in English? I always forget. The little things that form when the fiber gets out like this. So there's a lot of these, but other than that, they're in very good shape. There's no holes. There is a little bit of felting at the sole, which is to be expected. It's normal. It actually reinforces the fabric. So all good. So the merino nylon, I would say, if you're a beginner, is the best fiber mix that you can go for. Next we have merino cashmere nylon. So this is usually abbreviated with MCN, and you can have different percentages. I think most commonly you'll find like maximum 10% of cashmere in these sock yarn blends, because cashmere is a fiber that when it rubs it will lose a lot of its fibers. I don't know if I'm explaining this correctly, but yeah, it's not the most, like, the strongest. It's quite delicate, but yeah, you can find sock blends with cashmere in them. I have 2 pairs of socks to show you today with that. This is some yarn that I actually hand dyed myself. It's a self-striping yarn, and I honestly don't remember how I did this. I'm pretty impressed that I was able to do this. But yeah, these, aside from the fact that the dye doesn't look as good anymore, they've held up very well. I would say that they are very sturdy, and it's the same thing, nothing much to report. It's the same as the other ones. There's a little bit of felting on the heels, but no holes in them. So these have held up very well. And the other pair of Merino cashmere nylon that I have is this pair. They look kind of funny because here there's a ribbed leg and the foot is just stockinette. And this is, I think, probably my 3rd ever pair of socks that I've knit. And so I made them, like, I think 2 or 3 sizes too big for me. So this is too big. But I still wore them quite a lot over the years. And so you can see they look like this. So again, nothing horrible. There's no holes, just a bit of felting. And you can see that the fibers didn't hold up very well. They don't look very clean. I should shave them. I don't know if it's the right word, but to remove all of this. And yeah, this pattern is the Lucille Socks by Marie-Ève. And they have a little ruffle like this at the cuff, and then you have the leg that is ribbed and 2 stripes here, and then the rest is just stockinette. And I think they are meant to be worn like this, folded. Very cute, but I just wear them like this. And this yarn is I think the Aries from Bleu Poussière, which, yeah, is a blend of merino, cashmere, and nylon. So I don't know if I would recommend this necessarily. I have other pairs also with cashmere in them, and I find that they don't wear very well. They are very soft, but I don't know if it's my favorite blend for socks. Now, the next blend that I have is a merino yak nylon. So the yak is like a darker fiber, and when I first started knitting socks, I thought it was beautiful because it gives a really nice depth to the yarn. I'll show you. The first pair here is a natural shade, so undyed. You can see that it gives a nice gray color to the yarn. But these, I mean, I only ever tried one brand, I guess, of sock yarn that has yak in it, so I don't know if this is the same across the board for all yarns, if they all do this. But in my experience and with this one, you can see that on the sole here, all the yak fiber is completely gone. I don't know if it's because it's like much more soft, so it tends to like just want to shed and get out there. And so you're left only with the merino and nylon. So that's kind of sad. And it's not only for this sock yarn in particular anyways, it's not only a matter of the yak going away, it also makes holes very fast. So I'll talk about the pattern and the specific yarn in a moment, but I also have this pair that I made with the same yarn, and these I have to mend like every year because they get holes in them very, very easily. And I haven't worn these this year yet, but I think that, yeah, I can spot a few places where they need to be mended again. So I don't know if this is just this one in particular, or if it's because I wore these socks very, very, very much. But yeah, just something I guess to keep in mind. I would also be curious to know if you have knitted socks before with yak fiber in them, if you've had the same experience. Do they also like lose the yak fiber on the sole, and do you get holes more easily than with other yarn blends? Let me know. So the first pair that I showed is a design by Marie-Ève. I think this one is called Baie Sauvage. So it looks like little berries, which is very cute. You start cuff down, and so it like, with the lace, it creates a natural scallop like this. And then you have a bit of probably, yeah, knit through the back loops, stitches framed with pearl stitches to give it this like ribbed aspect to it. So that's for this one. And this one is the Alizé socks by Geneviève Dugan. This one was probably my third ever pair of socks, or fourth, I don't remember exactly the order, but I remember that I really, really liked to make these, and I think it might be the reason why I fell in love with sock knitting. It did take me a few pairs to really like love the process. At first I thought it was very finicky with the very small needles, but I quickly became in love, I guess, fell in love with the process of sock knitting, and this pair I think is what like solidified it for me. So it's a panel of lace at the front, and I haven't made these in a very long time, but I remember that it was quite easy to memorize, and it's very beautiful. So yeah, I said the name of the patterns, the actual yarn that I used. This specific one is from Emilia et Philomène, and I think the name is Adelina, could be wrong. But yeah, it's the one with yak, and I don't think it's like specified on the website that this should be used for socks, so maybe it's not even, maybe she doesn't even recommend to use it for socks, but since it has nylon in it, I thought I would give it a go. And now since then I've been a bit turned off by yak in sock yarns, but yeah, I'm curious to see if you've had similar experience. So that's it for the merino, yak and nylon blend. The next one that I have is the last merino blend I think that I have. This one is a merino, BFL and nylon mix, and I think that this particular yarn is, I think it was 40% untreated merino, 40% untreated BFL or blue faced Leicester, and 20% nylon. So I thought it would be a very good fiber for socks, and I think that this yarn was made specifically to make socks with it, but I'll show you my experience with this particular blend. It wasn't so successful. I mean, it depends how you want to see it, but this sock yarn is no longer in production. The dyer who it was produced for doesn't dye anymore. It was Les Arts Textiles du Témiscouata, and yeah, she doesn't dye anymore, so I don't think that this base is available anymore. And the yarn makes very, very warm socks, but I don't know if you can see. I think these I finished last year. These are the Gros Socks by Fibre Tales, which is very nice, very fun to knit. I really like the pattern, but I think that my yarn choice, I don't know, I'm not convinced. This is from last year, and you can see that the sole is just completely felted. These are probably like the worst looking socks that I have. They felted a lot, but they are still very warm. They're still wearable, and I actually wear these more like slippers inside the house because the sole is so thick now and so rigid. But yeah, so they serve another type of purpose, but I don't really wear these anymore, like out and about inside my shoes, unless it's like for a hike, for example, because I'm not scared to ruin these. They are already pretty bad. So yeah, love the pattern. I actually love how the yarn feels, but I don't know if I like how it wears. Some felting, in my opinion, is good, but this is like a bit extreme. And with the same yarn, I made another pair of socks, and I made these before the Gros Socks, and I don't remember if they wore the exact same way, so if the sole was very felted or not, but now they look like this because they accidentally went inside, I think not even the dryer, just the washing machine, and with just the friction of the run in the washing machine, this is what they look like now. Comparison in size with the non-felted sock. So they obviously don't fit me anymore, which is very sad, but I don't know why I'm keeping it. I will probably use it to do something at some point that requires felted fabric, felted wool fabric. Yeah, let's see. But these are the, I think they are called the Florence Socks by Anya Human. I hope that's how I pronounce your name, Anya. I'm sorry if I'm mistaken. But yeah, this sock, I remember it was my first toe-up sock, and it has a fleagle heel that you can't see now because it's all felted. But this was my first toe-up sock, and I really liked it. And I think this is the one that converted me to toe-up sock knitting. I still like to do both toe-up and cuff down, but yeah. And so yeah, I think maybe I should make this pattern again. I really like Anya's pattern. They're very clear and thoughtful. So yeah, this is a bit of a sad story, but it happens. Alright, so now I think I've shown you all the socks that I own that have merino in them. Now we're going to shift to BFL only, or in this case BFL Nylon. These are my Ballad socks by Sari Nordland, and this pair is by far like the one that has worn the best over the years, the one that I've worn the most, and they are still almost as good as new. I'll put a picture on the side so that you can like see the pattern better. But it's like a full lace sock. I think that I may have changed the cuff for a twisted rib instead of the regular rib that was in the pattern. And my only regret is to not have made the leg of the sock longer. They are a bit short, but I still wear them a ton. And I think that the only place where you can really see wear is at the heel, but not because of wear, just because of like discoloration. I think that the winter boots that I was wearing back in Canada, they were black, and they kind of like the dye of the inside of the boot transferred to the socks. But other than that, they still look very good. This yarn is also discontinued, unfortunately. I'm pretty sure. It's the Pura, I think, by Fibre Carpe Diem. And yeah, it's like indestructible. It's a little bit felted, but like not even. It's very nice. So this one is a blend of BFL or Blue Face Leicester with nylon. And yeah, I think I need to maybe invest more in BFL sock yarns, because this is really a really good blend. Or this particular yarn was very good. Anyways, and yeah, that's all I have to say about these. I wish that I could get more of that yarn, but as I said, I think it's discontinued. And then the next pair that I have is this one, and this is 100% BFL, and I think it's untreated, so I think it's non-superwash, but I could be mistaken. This yarn is from Myrtle, I don't know, it's fibres or yarns. She's in Canada, and yeah, I bought this when I was still living there. It's kind of difficult to see from far away and in this lighting, but it's like a very light pink with some cute little speckles. And this pattern I tested for Marie-Ève some time ago now. I don't remember when, probably at least 2.5 years ago. And yeah, so I don't know if I've worn these a ton. They are, you know, little fibers going everywhere like this, but there's no holes, and so I was scared that without nylon it wouldn't be so sturdy, but so far so good with these. So yeah, I think that out of all the socks that I have worn a lot, the ones with BFL seem to be the strongest. And also I don't think soft, but here's the thing, especially with the superwash fibers, like if I compare like a BFL superwash with a Merino superwash, I prefer the feel of the BFL. It's not as soft, but I don't know, I just prefer this one. It's a bit more rustic, even if it's, I don't know, I wouldn't qualify this as rustic, but I don't know. For me, the feel of Merino superwash is not that great. So until now, I would say that the BFL fibers are my favorite compared to Merino. And then the other, I guess, I don't know if it's a popular fiber for socks, but one that you see often, I guess, is alpaca. So these socks are the Between Petals by Tati Lutzak, Tati's Knitting Garden, or Knit Garden. I'm sorry, I'm very bad with names and remembering these things. But yeah, there's a little bit of color work at the cuff, and I think I originally bought this pattern because I was interested in knitting the sweater in the same collection, but I don't know, I was like not ready to commit to a full color work yoke sweater, so I decided to do the socks instead, and I really like them. They're very sweet with the color cuff. And yeah, this yarn is a blend of, I think it's like close to 50% alpaca. There must be 10 to 20% nylon, and the rest is wool, I believe. I bought this when I was in PEI, Prince Edward Island, in Canada, when I was visiting a few years ago. And yeah, it's from one of the mills there. So I was curious to try alpaca, and as expected, the fibers are not holding up very well like this. But I still really like these socks. They're very warm, and these are also felting a lot at the sole, so I wear them also kind of more as slippers inside the house. So yeah, I wouldn't say that alpaca is my favorite fiber to work socks, but it does the job. It's very, if you want something very like fluffy that is still warm, I would recommend alpaca. And then I have two pairs in 100% wool. As I said before, this is something that I'm trying to get more and more into, to try to find sock yarns that have no nylon and that are not superwash, and that hopefully wear better than this pair. And so yeah, I have some skeins in my stash that I can't wait to test. But for now, the one that I found that I like the best is Marie-Ève by Rosa. So I have two pairs here today to show you. This one is the oldest of the two, and I think I made these socks last year. These are the Campaniça Socks by New York Year, and this color I think is 302 of the Marie-Ève yarn. And Marie-Ève, I think, is a blend of, I think it must be Merino and another type of sheep that they have in Portugal. And yeah, I really like how it feels. Like, it's rustic but not too, it's not itchy. I really like to work with this compared to a Merino superwash, for example. And there are mixed reviews out there on this yarn. Some people think that it's not sturdy enough, and so you get holes easily. For me, so far I've only had a little bit of felting, which is good, reinforces the fabric. And I've worn these quite a bit, and they are, for example, like not as bad felting wise as these ones. I don't know if you can really see on camera, but these still look much better than this pair. So yeah, I'm a fan of this yarn. I really like it. Yeah, I would recommend, I mean, I think I could do a whole video on how to knit with sock yarns that have no nylon and that are non-superwash. But yeah, for now I'll just stick with talking about the durability of these socks. But I'll just say that I think that if you knit this at a tight enough gauge, you should have no issues with getting holes in your socks, unless you're like if you're very hard wearing on your socks, then it may be a problem. But for me, so far, I haven't had any issues. And the other pair that I have is one of my patterns, is the Pocholo socks, also made in Marie-Ève. And this color, from memory, I think is like C581. But yeah, I really like the color selection that they have, and really like the feel of this yarn. And these I have worn less, but yeah, the same thing I guess to report is that they felt a little bit at the sole for me, but no holes in sight so far. So yeah, I think that's all. The last two pairs that I have are, I guess, not really to talk about the durability of socks, but they're just I think my favorite pattern for Scrappy Socks. So I wanted to show them. I have two pairs here. These are the Ocean Drive socks by Megan Nodecker, and I think they are very fun to knit, very potato chippy, and you can use, you know, leftovers of other socks. I think that this one is, no, maybe that's not the right green, but I used this yarn from this one, and 2 others, I guess, but yeah. So they're very fun to make, and I think this is probably, if I had to choose like one pattern that I could knit with over and over again, it might be these ones. So yeah, let me know how, if your socks of similar fibers are wearing the same way. Is there a type of fiber that I haven't knit with that you would recommend to me? And yeah, I hope that you are enjoying knitting on your socks for Socktober if you are. And yeah, let me know maybe in the comments what is your favorite ever sock pattern. And yeah, I guess until next time, I will try to find time to film another podcast episode soon, because I've been working on a lot of new projects and I can't wait to share them with you. Bye!